It's the kitschy stuff, man. It's the kitschy stuff that people think is all woo-woo and like, yeah, cool, we have it. We wrote it down somewhere, but we don't do anything with it. What are your core values? Like pick 3 to 5 core values. What are they? The value of your core values is that you always get to make decisions around whether or not what we're doing, the decision that we're making, the action that we're taking, the thing that we're not doing is in line with our core values. And if you really lead with your core values, then everything about what you do starts to be consistent. At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Turning Pro on the Active Life podcast. I'm Larry Gaier, and we're here with Dr. Sean Pestuch.
What's up, guys?
A lot of gyms talk about their community, creating a community, because that's a lot of what brings members in and what they're attracted to. And while I think there's some merit to that, I would love for you to discuss for us where that is valuable and where the value lies in that, and where there's actually a huge thing that most gym owners are missing when it comes to creating the culture that serves a community.
Yeah, I think community is an amazing thing to have in a business, and it is most definitely something that is extremely sticky that will get people to stay. With that being said, if you believe that if you believe that the core value that you bring to your members is community, you should just open a community center. You don't need to own a gym. Just open a community center. Community doesn't drive your membership, and community doesn't develop itself. Culture drives community. Culture, guarantees value as best as value can be guaranteed. And culture needs to be extremely intentionally manicured if it's going to be effective at driving the kind of community that you want and the kind of value that you want. And you can't cop out on culture. I hear when I ask somebody what's great about your gym, like, oh, the community is amazing. I hear cop out. I have no idea what's great about my gym.
But Dr. Sean, what's the difference between community and culture?
Yeah. So community is the group of people who have a like-minded endeavor, right? It's similar people seeking a similar goal in a similar place is effectively what community is. So in ancient times, a community would be everybody wants to live. So I'm going to be responsible for farming the crops. You're going to go, actually, you would have been farming the crops. I would have been hunting. Yeah. Someone's hunting, someone's farming, someone's weaving the basket, someone's building the houses, someone's making sure we have water. All that kind of stuff is happening. And everybody in the community needs to do their job for anybody in the community to be successful. That's a community in ancient times. A community today, as we describe it in a gym, and in ancient times, it's still a community in some places, but today in a gym, we all come to the same place. We work out. We talk about the same things. We like the same clothes. We are into similar music, and we want to be fit. And we grind together. We get after it hard. And that's cool. I'm all for that. I think that that's an amazing thing to have. And I think that it's a big reason why commercial gyms can't compete with boutique gyms when boutique gyms do community well. That being said, I believe that culture is effectively the framework on which the community is built. So culture sets the rules. Culture sets the direction. Culture sets the values. Community is the byproduct of those things being set. And I think that when people don't intentionally set out to create culture, they end up with a community that runs itself and it doesn't really stand for anything. And if you ask people, what does the community in your gym stand for? Fitness, healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. That's cool. I'm for that. It's just not specific.
So if you don't have clear culture and clear cultural practices and norms, if you will, within your gym, you're going to end up with a community that perhaps haphazardly gets things done and produces outcomes that don't necessarily reflect what would be the best outcome for everyone.
Absolutely. So there's a community of people who've gone through the small love squat cycle. Not everybody who went through it came out an Olympian. A lot of people got trashed by it, right? But there's a culture that drives the kind of person who, if you worked with a coach in the real competitive society who built that program, they would just say no to you. You have to be able to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K before we'll even entertain you jumping on this squat cycle with us. That's culture. It spits out the ideas that would detract from the methodology because it is so important to protect the methodology. So the big difference for me is this. Culture is creating, fostering, and protecting values. Community is a manifestation of the values that have been created, fostered, and protected. Now, if you haven't created values, if you haven't fostered values, if you haven't protected those values, your community ends up with cliques. Because these people value this, but we all value fitness, so we come together.
I see. So one of the potential negative repercussions of this, if I'm understanding it correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is you could, depending on what happens, end up with a fractured community.
Without a doubt. And it's still like, I think this is one of the biggest problems that boutique gyms face. Micro gyms, boutique gyms, CrossFit gyms, Orange Theories, all of them, whatever. Clicks. It's clicks. And if you think about it, where's the last place that you had a bunch of clicks?
High school?
Yes. What was the community that high school created? Well, everybody was there to learn. We all had to go through it. Okay, well, that's a community. But what's the culture? Are there less clicks if there's a culture? And I would argue that the answer to that is yes. And if there are less clicks, then there are less oars in the water paddling in a different direction than the rest of the boat, which makes the boat go faster in the direction that we want it to go. And culture takes a lot of intent. You know, the number one thing that I think about as it pertains to active life every day is what is the culture that we're creating? What is the impact on our culture if we make that change? What is the impact on our culture if we ask that person to not be with us anymore? What is the impact on our culture if we hire this person? It's not just about like, oh yeah, they do their job well, let's bring them in. No, are they a culture fit? And I think the reason that most gym owners probably don't do this, is because of how hard it is. It's stressful. It's difficult because it means protecting the herd at all costs. If somebody in the gym is out of turn, you pull them aside. An example that's different in culture than community is so-and-so is talking badly about our price increase. Okay, let's say that you go to raise your prices in the gym. We just had this happen with one of the gyms that we work with, and we talk about them fairly frequently, Fargo, North Dakota. So a member was complaining that they raised prices, and they almost tripled prices, by the way. They didn't just raise prices. They went from like 160 or 170, somewhere between 140 and 170 up to $400 a month. Radically change the value that they're offering in the gym. It's worth every penny of the $400 that they're charging. There was a member who was in the lobby who was complaining about it. And instead of somebody else piling on and agreeing with them, a coach came out and said, hey, you're allowed to disagree with our value change. You're just not allowed to disagree about it in the lobby. So feel free to take that conversation home. That's protecting a culture. That community is somebody else comes over like, I know it's crazy, right? Like, I can't believe they're doing that to us. And then the coach comes over like, look, I know, like, ownership really wants to make this change and we're trying to do our best. So if you could just like, give us a chance. That's community. Culture is take that shit home. There's a major difference there.
Or we understand if this isn't the right gym for you.
Same thing, right? It's just, you're allowed to complain about that to us privately or at home, but not here.
So there's a lot of protection and preservation and health that you create and foster in culture. That doesn't necessarily happen in community.
Culture
right?
needs to create a safe and inspiring
Safety,
place to be.
Safe
and inspiring, both. So I think I talked about this once before on the podcast, but my job as founder and CEO at Active Life is to create a safe and inspiring work environment for our entire team. And then it's the team's job to make sure that all of the members who work with us are feeling safe and inspired. My job is the team, the vision. In the gym, right? A safe environment is I can say something here that makes me vulnerable. And the coaches and the members of the gym are not going to let somebody else make me feel bad about it. Safe to me is if your gym can have a whiteboard next to your whiteboard that has everybody's goal on it and what it means to them. Not just like, oh, I want to be able to do a pull-up. I want to do a pull-up because I've always felt weak. And doing a pull-up would make me finally feel strong. You can't do that in a place that's not safe. And having that kind of safety and the support of the community at that point, because of the culture, would breed inspiration.
So when you were talking about, the rules that come along with culture, just to use the example that you just listed of the person who would love to be able to do a pull-up because it would finally make them feel strong. An example of a rule would be, in this culture, we never allow anyone, no matter how good of an athlete they are, to say something like, you can't do a pull-up yet.
Right. Or to minimize the value of getting it.
So this is an example of a cultural rule you're talking about. I
Yes.
just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
It's instead of it just being somebody says, dude, you need like 6 months before you can even think about getting a pull-up. Instead of the coach saying like, hey now, she knows she's got work to do. The coach says, apologize.
We don't talk like that here.
Right. Apologize. Because maybe it will take her 6 months and she'll get it. When does she start? She starts now. Apologize. And if that person's unwilling to apologize, they leave. That's culture. And everybody else in the building respects it and feels safer for it.
And more inspired.
Yes. Yes. So I like to say that culture drives community. Community does not drive culture. I don't believe that you can have a boutique fitness business that's successful without community. In fact, I think that even big businesses find a lot of value in community. I think that it's incumbent upon the business to drive the culture that permeates that community. Otherwise, it can become toxic and tear people down.
Okay. So what are some ways that gym owners can start deliberately rethinking the bedrock of their culture so that they can start creating the kind of community that they want to see every single day? And it's not just a collection of folks in a room dancing on the table when they're too drunk.
It's the kitschy stuff, man. It's the kitschy stuff that people think is all woo-woo and like, yeah, cool, we have it. We wrote it down somewhere, but we don't do anything with it. What are your core values? Like pick 3 to 5 core values. What are they? The value of your core values is that you always get to make decisions around whether or not what we're doing, the decision that we're making, the action that we're taking, the thing that we're not doing is in line with our core values. And if you really lead with your core values, then everything about what you do starts to be consistent, right? So at Active Life, our 4 core values are professionalism, integrity, having an active mindset, and team first. Yeah, tribe first. So the idea there is people on the team will consistently step up for somebody else who's unable to do something. People on the team consistently show up professionally, right? Their hair is groomed. They're wearing appropriate clothing when they go places and do things. And we don't have a dress code.
We take showers at least 72 hours before the event.
At least 72 hours before the event. But, all of those things go in, and it creates the discipline that shapes the company, that allows you to have fun within it. It's not about, I think that a lot of people hear, these are our values. And then they see so many people who have these values and then don't uphold them and feel like values are then less valuable. And they're not. It's about upholding them. It's about sticking to them. The other side of that is, I think that I remember when I used to think about the New England Patriots football team and how they were so disciplined. I was like, when does it get fun? Like, when does it become fun if there's so much discipline and so much rule following? And this is when they were winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I hated those guys as a Jets fan. Now I don't care about football. But to them, it's always fun, because being a part of a winning culture when you're an athlete is fun, and discipline creates winning, and winning for them is fun. So for us, it's like, I can joke around with you. We can joke around with people on the team. It's if you cross the line joking around with somebody and they say, hey, you know what? That was a little bit across the line, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that anymore. It's, dude, I'm really sorry. I won't do that again. I apologize. I understand why it was across the line. I won't do it again. That's just respectful.
So people focusing on the takeaway here for gym owners is going to be to start to understand. And if I've understood, and I think you've done a very good job outlining the difference between these two and giving us a sense of what it feels like to participate in the community in this moment that we are just in, versus not just participating in, but contributing to a culture that nourishes everyone deeply in such a way that the community reflects it strongly, right? So if we can think of takeaways here, what are ways that gym owners can start deliberately shifting their attention away from their community towards their culture so the community feeds itself, besides just core values?
Start with the values and apologize to your members for never having had them before, and let them know that the reason that you're doing them now is because you really want to start to shape the direction the gym moves in.
Can you paint a very brief picture of how establishing and upholding core values directly contributes to the well-being of every single member in such a way that the members are going to realize, ooh, I should buy into that. That's nice.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, one of your core values is at your gym is professionalism. Let's just take one of ours. One of your core values is professionalism. What that means is everybody is going to be taking what is going on seriously in the moment. If everybody takes what's going on seriously in the moment, then the coaching experience that you're getting as a member is uninterrupted and is as valuable as can possibly be, because nobody else is messing around, talking off to the side, jerking around when you're trying to get coached. It means that the coach is going to come to class prepared every single day, that they are going to appear credible, which makes it easier for you to trust them and approach them. They're going to be approachable, which makes it easier for you to learn. And everything about the place is going to have, you're going to walk in and you're going to be like, damn, this is professional. I feel like I'm getting great value here. When you feel like you're getting great value, you will capitalize on that value, and you'll have a better experience. You'll get better results. And all of that happens by simply saying, we value professionalism here. Please treat yourself as a professional member in this gym. Our staff is going to treat themselves as professional staff members in this gym. What does professionalism mean? Break it down. You now just set rules that give people the freedom to know where their margins are. And
to squeeze the juice that you're giving them, because they're spending less time and energy thinking about whether or not it's actually worth the value.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are like, well, who likes rules? Rules are meant to be broken. One of the changes that we are in the process of making for our one-on-one clients at Active Life is we are going to start adding their full fitness program into our offering. And we've resisted that for a really long time. The reason why we're adding it in is because we've had clients who've told us, look, I feel really good when I'm doing your stuff. And then I'm really stressed out about what else I should do. And I don't know what the rules are for me. I don't know like what's smart, what's not smart. I just need really, really, really clear guidelines, and being told exactly what to do would be better than being told exactly how to decide what to do. Because right now we give people constructs and teach them how to figure out what to do. Those are rules. We've been asked over and over and over and over again for rules. And so we're going to do it. Jocko Willink talks about discipline is freedom, right? I'm not a Jocko Willink historian, so don't ask me anything else he says. I just know he said that, and I think he's a smart dude and he's worth listening to. Rules give us a sense of safety. It's that simple.
I didn't understand how much discipline and rules could actually create freedom until I started to lean into what he was saying and a lot of the things that you're talking about. Because if I understand it correctly, as I've been able to apply it to my own life, rules give us freedom to stop spending energy figuring out what we ought to be doing.
Yeah. And another rule that we have at Active Life is it's not about you and it's always your fault. Mm-hmm. So if something goes wrong and you come complaining about what somebody else did, the first question you're going to ask is, well, what did you do? How did that happen? What did you say? What didn't you do? Right? Like, let's figure out how you were responsible for this response from somebody else. And then we'll deal with how they responded.
So bottom line here is that gyms that have
now you're talking my language,
a community that they're happy with, that they rest on the fact that they have community, they're frankly not doing enough, and they might be setting themselves up for a lot of difficulty that might be unforeseen that they don't understand down the road. Because
community is easy and it's comfortable. Culture is difficult, and it will force some of the people in your community to leave it, which feels really bad. And that's the reason why people don't create culture. The gyms who've created culture, I promise you, know exactly what they're supposed to do when they wake up each day.
And at the end of the day, the gyms who create culture first and consistently and foremost are going to be the gyms that not only remain, but continue to thrive to greater and greater degrees.
Bro.
Anything else you want to add to this?
Just turn pro, guys.
See you out there.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please be sure to head to wherever you listened to it and give us a quality review, as well as 5 stars if you can spare them. If you want more from us, feel free to follow all of our social media accounts at Active Life Professional, Active Life RX, and Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. Remember, at Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym, and the healthcare provider of the future is the coach. We also believe that future is now. Time, bro.